Hello everyone, it's me, Albert, and today we're gonna discuss about another topic that is, should kids be given an allowance? So this topic is very popular and there are many opinions as well as surveys and experiments conducted about this topic. And today we're gonna find out the answer for this question. So first, we'll find out what is an allowance. So an allowance is something that your parents may give you if you do your chores in your house. An allowance is also something that your parents give you to teach you finance, personal finance. And an allowance is also something that your parents just simply give you to spend. So that is an allowance. So there are two types of allowance, the unconditional allowance and the conditional allowance. So as the name suggested, the unconditional allowance is given to you freely. You have to do nothing and the parents just give you periodically. The conditional allowance, however, you have to do something in order to get the allowance. It's just like the salary. So for example, you have to do the chores in the house in order to get the allowance. So that are the differences between the unconditional and the conditional allowance. So now I have a question. What is the most important thing that parents today aim for when they give their children allowance? So this is a question that is very hot on parental forums, and there are quite many answers to it too. But for parents of this age, when the world is changing very much because of the AI technologies and the COVID-19 itself, I think the answer is to teach their children financial education. So of course there will be still parents with other reason, but I think this reason is the most beneficial and the most reasonable in this age. So there are two opinions. Sorry, wait. Okay, so there are two opinions as always. The first opinion is yes, because the allowance could teach the kids finance, personal finance. The second opinion is no, because children can be irresponsible. So both opinions is right, and today we're going to analyze them. Okay, so first, before we talk about anything, the pros and the cons, we're gonna talk about the financial literacy among US teenagers. So this is a pie chart about that. And here are the three types of allowance condition: unconditional, conditional, and no allowance at all. So during that survey, 35% of teenagers have conditional allowance, 10.5% have unconditional allowance, and up to 54.5% have no allowance at all. So that are the results from the experiment and the survey. So based on that result, we're gonna discuss about the financial literacy score. So for those who have no allowance, they score like 52.5%. The conditional score 52.1%, and the unconditional score 49.1%. So as you see, the score go decrease. It's go down, 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 down. And that's some reasons that we shouldn't give their kid an allowance. So this is actual data from a survey, and it shows that if a kid have unconditional allowance, they will less likely to score a high financial literacy score. So now we'll talk about the pros and cons of allowance. So the process, sorry, it's blocked by this pad. Let me see if I can bring. Okay, I can remove it. I'll remove it. Okay, so just put it here. Okay, so the process of allowance. The process is that if you if you give your kid an allowance, you will teach them the relationship between work and salary, work and pay. So that is the first process. The second process is that if you give your kid an allowance, they can buy toys for themselves and they don't need to bother you anytime they want a new toy. The third process is that it will be a motivation for your kid to do the chores when you give them an allowance. The fourth process is that if you let donation be a part of your allowance system, you can teach them the importance to donating to other. So that is really important. So here are the cons. So the cons is that your kid can be irresponsible. That's the first cons. The second, they can like burn money or throw them out of the window. They can wasting the money. The third cons is that if you have a small family budget, but you have a big family, that could be a problem because you have to give allowance to many kids. And the fourth one is that if your children save up enough money to be independent from you, they have no motivation to do the chores because they get used to the chores are just like work so that they can get salary, not a part of their responsible. So that's all about the pros and cons. I will move to the last part. So here's my opinion. My opinion is yes, but we have to do the allowance system right because with allowance come many risks. If you go to look on many parental forums and articles, you will see that with allowance come many risks. And if we don't handle the risks, well, it's better not to create an allowance system. So that's my opinion. And if you have any other opinion, please comment down below. So here are the two links. The first link is to the information in the presentation from Business Insider. And the second link is to the pros and cons. So that's all for everything today. And see you next time.